Okay, let's talk about something that's, well, it's kind of weird, right? We've all got these incredible smartphones basically attached to us 24/7, but for so many of us, the thought of using it for an actual phone call, absolutely terrifying. Oh, you know that feeling. Your phone starts buzzing, a name pops up on the screen, and boom. It's not excitement, it's this sudden wave of pure dread. You just stare at the screen, hoping, praying it'll just go to voicemail. If that sounds even a little bit familiar, trust me, you are so not alone. And for the longest time, whenever we've tried to explain why we feel this way, there's been one go-to answer that always seems to pop up first. It's become the default diagnosis, you could say, for phone phobia.
Yep, that's the one. Social anxiety. It's the easy label. The thinking kind of goes, well, if you get anxious in social situations, then of course, a spontaneous phone call is going to freak you out. And look, for some people, that's definitely a piece of the puzzle, for sure. But that simple explanation doesn't really tell the whole story for a lot of us, does it? I mean, think about it. There are tons of people who are perfectly comfortable, even outgoing in face-to-face settings, but they still get that jolt of dread when the phone rings. So, what if there's something else going on, something deeper?
What if we've been looking at this whole thing the wrong way? Let's dig into the idea that hating phone calls isn't some personal failing you have to fix. What if it's actually a completely sane and rational response to the unique pressures of a phone call itself? In fact, some new thinking on this suggests there are several really powerful psychological drivers at play here that honestly have very little to do with what we traditionally call social anxiety. So let's break this down. On one side, you've got the simple assumption, it's all social anxiety. But on the other side, you've got a much more nuanced and frankly more interesting reality. The real reasons are a potent mix of three things: performance pressure, the lack of nonverbal cues, and what I like to call the interruption factor. Let's dive into that first one, because it is arguably the biggest driver of them all: performance pressure. This definition really hits the nail on the head. In a world of texts and emails, we've all become master editors of our own conversations. We can write a sentence, delete it, rewrite it, add an emoji, nope, take it out. We perfect the message before we hit send. A phone call just yanks all that control away from us. All of a sudden, you're in a live performance. You're on stage with no script, and that pressure to sound smart and funny and articulate, all in real time, it's intense. But it's not just that. The other two factors are just as powerful. First, the lack of nonverbal cues. I mean, for thousands of years as humans, we have relied on seeing someone's face, their body language, to understand the subtext of a conversation. On a phone call, all of that is just gone. It's a void of information, and our brains tend to fill that void with uncertainty and doubt. And finally, there's the interruption factor. Let's be real, we now schedule our lives to protect our focus, our deep work. An unscheduled call feels like a battering ram crashing through that focus, demanding our immediate, undivided attention in a way that just feels more and more invasive. So, okay, we've established it's way more complex than just anxiety. But here's the crucial question. So what? Why does making this distinction actually matter? How does it help any of us? Because it fundamentally reframes the entire problem. When we stop seeing our hatred of phone calls as some personal flaw that needs to be fixed, we can start seeing it for what it really is: a normal reaction to our modern communication environment. That shift in perspective moves us away from self-criticism and moves us toward empathy. And most importantly, much better strategies. And this is where that shift really starts to pay off. Realizing you're not broken for hating phone calls helps you be a little kinder to yourself. It fosters self-compassion. It also helps you build empathy for that colleague who always prefers email. They're not being difficult, they're just managing their focus and that performance pressure. And it pushes all of us towards smarter strategies. Instead of just cold calling someone, we can send a quick call signal text first. Hey, got 5 minutes to chat about the project? It destigmatizes the whole thing and leads to more respectful and way more effective communication for everyone. So we've gone on this little journey from a simple, maybe slightly judgmental assumption about social anxiety to a much more insightful and compassionate understanding, one that's really rooted in performance pressure, missing social data, and the true nature of modern focus. Which leaves us with this one last big thought to chew on. We tend to think that we're the ones using our technology, that we are in control. But what if, in very real ways, our technology is actually rewiring us, changing how we think, how we feel, and how we connect with each other? It's definitely something to ponder the next time you joyfully let that call go straight to voicemail.
If you like this content, don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and comment.